So hmm, what we have discussed last time about
Enzymes.
enzymes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are some simple concepts which are associated with this. Like today we are going to discuss the factors affecting enzyme activity.
Yes, sir.
Factors affecting enzyme. So activity.
Yes, sir.
So there are many factors which may affect the activity of the enzymes, but majorly we will discuss here 2 to 3 concepts specifically which are involved in the enzyme activity. The first one is temperature.
Yes, sir.
Temperature. We want to know here that how this temperature affect the activity of the enzyme.
Yes, sir.
So one thing we should establish at the very start, and that is all enzyme, all type of enzymes, they work at optimum temperature.
Yes, sir.
This is you can say important thing uh, according to which we will assess the higher temperature and the effect of the low temperature.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
So optimum temperature. And how you will define this temperature? Optimum temperature is that suitable temperature at which enzyme activity is maximum,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
At this point, enzyme will function at its maximum capacity, at its maximum pace, right?
Yes, sir.
So when you will increase or decrease temperature from this point,
Yes, sir.
so then enzyme activity will affect, right?
Yes.
So for instance, important question is that why, because of the increase of temperature, enzyme activity increased. We normally say when we increase the enzyme temperature,
Yes, sir.
normally from lower to higher, when you start increasing temperature from lower to higher,
Yes, sir.
so enzyme activity will increase,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
But how? Why? The reason is very simple. When you are giving temperature and heat energy to the enzymes, so definitely there is a collision between the molecules that will also increase,
Yes, sir.
right? So because of that, that movement, it will give energy and it will give maximum activity to the enzymes, right? So enzymes can play their maximum role in that reaction. But when we increase this temperature, and this temperature increase should be up to certain limit, and that limit is optimum temperature, right?
Yes, sir.
Once you will increase the temperature from the optimum temperature, then the activity of enzyme will start declining. All right,
Yes, sir.
that will start declining. And reason is very obvious here, because at the first stage, because of the more collision between of enzymes and the substrate, the
Yes.
activity of enzyme become, or the reaction will be maximum. But when you will increase enzyme in temperature, so enzyme will denature. We commonly use a term for it, denaturation. Denaturation. Okay, now again, I'm starting from here. What is the effect of temperature on the activity of the enzyme? So we say we will start from here. When we will increase temperature from lower to higher, right? So enzyme activity will get increased with the increase of temperature, but up to certain limit. And that limit is optimum temperature, where enzyme activity will be maximum, right?
Yes, sir.
And by increasing more temperature, then the enzyme will start denature. And what do you mean by this denaturation?
सर हाइड्रोजन
Denaturation,
बॉन्डिंग ब्रेक हो जाती है.
it means that you are going to break the chemistry of the enzyme.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, you are going to change the chemistry of the enzyme. What actually is going on here? For instance, we have this example, like here is a globular enzyme,
Yes.
as we have this enzyme, right?
Yes, sir.
Globular structure. Make it globular properly. Okay. So here is what? Here is what?
Active site.
Active site. Active site. Is active site. And then you have one thing more here. What is that? That is a substrate. For instance, there is substrate like this.
Yes, sir.
Here is a substrate like this. All right.
Yes, sir.
So when you are increasing temperature, so activity between the reception of this active site will increase, and more substrate will come to bind here, and they will transform into the product, and this process is continuous here. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But when we are going to change or increase temperature up to certain limit, then this globular structure will start to become change, or that will be that will destroy, right? So this destruction of the globular structure of the enzyme, it will affect its active site. It is possible that this active site may become like more close to each other, or the size of this active site may also change, or some atom bonding, which are actually most of the time that bonding which is formed between the substrate and the active site, that is hydrogen bonding here. But it is possible, because of the increase of temperature, that bonding may also not be possible between this active site and substrate. So this situation is called denaturation, where actually you are going to change the shape of this globular structure. And its example is very simple. We can get it from egg. For example, you are boiling egg, and up to a certain temperature, the chemistry of that egg will not change. But once it is boiled, it means that is also protein. Enzymes are proteins. So at that point, when that egg is completely boiled, that is actually a denatured protein,
Yes, sir.
right? And there is no difference in the denaturation of that protein or this enzyme, because enzymes are also composed of proteins.
Yes, sir.
So that protein is denatured. It means that protein has changed its shape, and it is not possible to reverse it
Yes, sir.
back to its original form. So once this enzyme will change its shape, it's not possible to reverse its shape back to its functional form,
Yes.
right? So this is the one thing that we should keep in mind. We can also draw a structure on it, like uh, we can draw a graph here, like we can show it how this enzyme activity will be present on this graph. Like here you have a temperature
Yes, sir.
on the x-axis. So on the other side, what you would have?
Enzyme activity.
Enzyme activity. Here would be activity, an enzyme activity.
Yes, sir.
So when you are increasing temperature on this side,
Yes,
right?
sir.
You can label here by numbers. So you have started to increase the temperature. So with increase of temperature, the enzyme activity is also going to increase. It is
Yes,
getting
sir.
increased, getting increased. And but it is up to certain point like this.
Yes, sir.
This is the point at which enzyme activity is,
At the maximum.
yes, at the maximum. And at this maximum point, what we would say, what it is,
Vmax.
optimum temperature.
Oh, yes.
Definitely this temperature would be optimum temperature.
Yes, sir.
But from this point, again, if you are increasing temperature, so this curve will start declining.
Yes.
Now it's going down
Yes, sir.
like this. And what is this?
Sir, अब तो
What
FD
this
हो गया.
what this curve is showing us?
Okay.
Denaturation.
Yes, sir.
Denaturation. All right. So
Yes, sir.
this is how enzyme impacts the enzyme. This temperature actually impacts the enzyme activity, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the one thing that we should keep in mind. Another thing, that is pH. pH of the enzyme. Based on this, we always say that enzymes are very much specific,
Yes, sir.
and their specificity is mostly related to specific pH and then specific temperature.
Yes.
So what is pH? How you will define it? Do you have an idea about pH?
Sir,
How it would affect its activity or enzyme activity?
सर एक optimum pH पे maximum होगी.
I mean, pH itself is what?
pH सर जी
pH is,
measure of H positive and OH.
yes, hydrogen ion concentration. So if, for instance, if you are increasing the hydrogen ion concentration there
Yes, sir.
in the chemical reaction where enzyme and substrate, they are working with each other.
Yes, sir.
Enzyme activity, when I'm saying enzyme activity, what does it mean? It means that that is reacting with the reactant, and that reactant is actually a substrate,
Yes, sir.
and that substrate, after that reaction, after the activity of enzyme, that is converting into what? Into a product,
Yes, sir.
into a specific product which is required there.
Yes, sir.
So by the activity of enzyme, that is converting that substrate into a product. So when you are going to change its pH, again uh, we will make a scale here, like that is optimum pH.
Yes, sir.
Optimum pH. In previous case, we said why this enzyme activity is going to decline after the maximum temperature, and all the enzymes are going to denature. What
Yes.
is the reason it's behind? So that reason, what we have given there, that is collision. For instance, there are many atoms or molecules which are combined with each other,
Yes.
right? So when you are going to heat them, all because it is a solid. So in solid form, most of the time we know all these atoms, they are in a very compact form. They are very close to each other.
Yes,
So
sir.
when you are giving some temperature to it, up to certain limit, they will start a vibrational motion. And then they will, if you will further increase that temperature, so the molecules which are present in that compact form or in the solid, they will start their motion more vibrant. They will
Yeah.
start their motion more fast, or they will start to collide with one another.
Yes.
By of that collision, when this collision will become more rigorous and more fast, so definitely they will change the shape of the enzyme. They
Yes,
will
sir.
change the structure, global structure of the enzyme. And an enzyme is very much specific. If you will change the shape uh, of enzyme, as we have studied in case of hemoglobin, where that hemoglobin shape becomes a sickle cell structure, like in case of red blood cells, red blood cells become sickle shape because of the change of shape of the hemoglobin. So that red blood cell is not able to perform its function because of hemoglobin, because hemoglobin is itself not able to perform its function. Why? Because the shape of that protein is changed. So in a similar way here, this collision is actually going to, you can say, leading this enzyme into a denaturation. So in case of optimum pH, it is defined that the optimum pH is the pH which is the maximum, you can say pH at which the enzyme activity is maximum, right? So optimum pH means, we can draw a graph here as well. You can place pH here, and here you would have activity of enzyme. All right. So you can draw a curve here.
Yes, sir.
Like this is a curve. Again, you are getting increase, increase. You raise it up. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
आपका डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया
आपका सर जी शायद इंटरनेट इशू है।
नहीं, वो तो स्टेबल है।
बंद हो गई थी,
स्टेबल
डिस्कनेक्ट हो गए थे।
इट्स ओके। So at this point,
यस सर।
we can say,
यस सर।
like this curve is showing us what?
एंजाइम
Uh,
एक्टिविटी।
internet connection is unstable. Anyway, my side. So this is a maximum activity, or you can say increasing activity. At this point, I can say maximum, and this is optimum pH as well. Like you can labeled here optimum pH. So it is getting down now,
यस सर।
but this is not sufficient for you. The sufficient thing, or you can say the important thing that is required here, you should know why. In this case, of increase of temperature from the optimum temperature, uh, enzymes become denatured. So you have the answer of this collision,
यस सर।
right? The movement of the molecules in that solid. So here in this case, in optimum pH, you should know the reason why it is, right?
यस सर।
So when you will have more hydrogen ion concentration, so pH would be lower. You
यस।
know, you know about the scale of this pH:
यस सर।
6, 5, 4, 3, 1. So in this side, if you are moving on 8, 9, 10 up to 14. So this is the neutral point at 7.
यस सर।
So when you are going down towards 6, 5, 4, 3, so pH is getting more acidic.
यस सर।
All right.
यस
So
सर।
it means at lower pH you are getting more acidic substance.
यस सर।
All right. So when you are going up from this 7, so you are getting more basic.
यस सर।
So now the question is that, and this is also important thing, there are many enzymes which are working on the basic pH, and there are many other enzymes which are working on the acidic pH. So
Yes,
it
sir.
is not possible that all the enzymes they are functioning on the very same pH, but their pH is specific.
Yes, sir.
If any enzyme which is working in basic environment, it is not possible for that enzyme to work in acidic.
Yes, sir.
All right. So vice versa as well in case of acidic. If any enzyme is working in the environment of acidic, so that will not be able to perform its function in basic.
Yes, sir.
So once you are increasing the hydrogen ions, your pH is getting lower. What do you
Yes.
mean by increasing hydrogen ions? It means that you are actually converting that solution or that environment or whatever that is to more acidic,
Yes, sir.
because you are increasing hydrogen ions there.
Yes, sir.
So change in pH can make and break the intermolecular bonds,
Okay, sir.
right? What is the impact? It means all the what do you mean by intra and
Sir, the interior?
intramolecular and where intra means within and inter means between.
Yes, sir.
All right. So all the bondings which are within the molecule
Yes, sir.
and all the bondings which are between the molecules, they will start breaking if you are increasing the pH from certain limit,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So enzyme activity may change because of the change of pH,
Yes, sir.
right? If activity is more, what does it mean? It means that less time is required there.
Yes, sir.
If you are increasing activity of enzyme, what actually you are doing? You are doing what that is to reduce the time
Yes, sir.
by increasing the activation energy. All right. So these are the two concepts here. Another point or another concept which we can add here, and that is enzyme substrate concentration. Right?
Yes, sir.
Two things we have already discussed that for instance, if you're not taking the are considering the number of enzymes and number of substrate, so we want to know that what type of other factors which are specifically external factors which may affect the enzyme activity. The one is temperature and
pH.
other one is
pH.
pH. Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Enzyme substrate concentration. Enzyme substrate
Concentration.
concentration. So we can guess here, like when there are more substrate, then what would be the possibility, and when you have less number of substrate, then
Substrate,
what
search.
there may be two conditions. Like we can draw two conditions from here. It is possible enzymes are more in number,
Yes, sir.
enzymes are greater, substrate are less. This is the one condition that may be possible. On the other side, you may have another condition. For instance, if you have less enzymes and you have more substrate,
Yes, sir.
so we want to know what these conditions have effect on the enzyme activity. So
Yes, sir.
at the first point, when you have too much enzymes or you have enzymes more as compared to substrate. So what would be the condition? Increase the enzyme concentration beyond a certain point. What would be the condition of the reaction? For instance, if you have enzyme,
Yes,
you
sir.
have greater number of enzymes and you have less number of substrates.
Yes,
Definitely at the initial stage, reaction will be fast.
yes, sir.
Reaction will be
Fast.
fast at the initial stage, but up to certain point, because what is the limiting factor here?
Substrate.
Limiting factor will be substrate. At some point, these substrate will be vanished.
Yes, sir.
These substrates will be utilized, and you no more have their number of substrate. So there is no mean to have enough enzymes, because if substrates are not available, so if you have an enzyme in a sufficient amount, so it doesn't mean, or it's not possible to carry on that chemical reaction. All right. So this is the one condition. For instance, if you are going another side, if you are increasing substrate number,
Yes,
but
sir.
you are limiting the time, so at that point, what would be the situation? It is possible initially there will be a competition, because more number of substrates want to bind on the active site. Here, when you are saying the limited number of enzymes, it means you are saying limited number of seats where substrates can go and sit,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes,
For
sir.
instance, if there are 20 substrates who are coming from outside, there are only 10 chairs inside, so competition will be greater.
Yes, sir.
More competition will be there. So it means they will fight with one another at the first point, and definitely the reaction rate of reaction will increase up to certain limit. But at certain point, if you are increasing substrate there, the chemical reaction will not change. Why? Because number of seats are already occupied.
Yes, sir. सारी एक्टिव साइट्स जो है वहाँ पे सबसेट बन.
All active sites are occupied. So there is no mean if you are increasing number of substrate. That will not change the chemical reaction,
Yes.
right? So it means enzyme substrate concentration. For instance, we can also draw a graph for this as well. Here you have x axis and y axis. On this side, you may place a substrate, and here rate of reaction. For instance, we are considering a substrate, here rate of
Yes.
reaction. Here you are increasing what? Substrate,
Yes, sir.
all right? But you have limited number of enzymes. At the first stage, rate of reaction will increase. Why? Because more enzymes are available here.
Yes, sir.
More enzymes are available initially.
Yes, sir.
But once you are increasing this more, then there will be a plateau, a point of saturation, we can say.
Yes,
This
sir.
is called point of saturation.
Yes, sir.
Point of saturation. So at this point of saturations, what is the condition? All enzymes are occupied.
Yes, sir.
All
Enzymes are occupied.
enzymes are occupied. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So at this point, here in more enzymes were present, but at this point, there will be a competition for enzyme molecules, because now with the passage of time, enzymes number are getting limited.
Yes, sir.
All right. So at this point, there will be a competition for enzyme molecules.
Yes, sir.
I hope you're getting this point.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is how substrate may affect, and you can also do this by using number of enzymes on one side on the x-axis and rate of reaction. So that graph will also be like very similar to it, because uh, you are increasing the number of enzymes, but you have the limited number of substrates. At the first stage, rate of reaction will increase because more substrates are available. But once the reaction is proceeding further, so there will come a time that where competition will start
Yes, sir.
because of the limited number of substrates. And that is same as the point of saturation, and all the substrates are utilized. So this is how you can also draw another structure.
Yes, sir.
All right. So
Yes.
this was all about the enzymes. There is one concept we will discuss that as well. I think time. How much time do we have?
5 minutes.
Minutes. Hmm. Still, we have two to three important concepts. I think you on which you should give some time. For instance, you have the enzyme affinity. We have to learn about this, what it is, and similarly, there are some other points like another important topic here is inhibitors. I'm
Yes.
just giving you some uh, one point for each. Or we can, I mean, in next 2 minutes, we can discuss inhibitors, enzyme inhibitors. And then we will discuss the enzyme affinity. That's a topic which definitely that needs time. Anyway, inhibitor. What are inhibitor? Enzyme inhibitor.
जो एंजाइम एक्टिविटी
Definitely,
इनहिबिट कर दे.
those substances
Yes,
which
sir.
inhibit or affect the activity of enzyme.
Yes, sir.
Inhibit
Or affect the activity of enzyme.
or affect the activity, right?
Yes.
So on the basis of this, because here we have used a very flexible term, we didn't say completely inhibit. Inhibit means something which we have stopped, so it's stopped. We're not going to change it. All right.
Yes, sir.
So on the other side, you have I have used word effect, inhibitor or effect. So it means that there would be a situation where we can remove this inhibition. Somewhere you will get an inhibition that is irreversible. On the basis of this, we have divided this inhibition into three types, you can say. One is competitive. Another type is non-competitive.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes.
And another type we can add there is a reversible, irreversible. On the basis of that, we have also divided it. All right. So you just get an idea from what is competitive and non-competitive. What do you know about it? Competitive inhibitors and non-competitive competitive inhibitors. For this, you should keep in mind this active site. Competition will always take place at this point, at this active site, right?
Yes, sir.
If the substrates are fighting for to bind on this point, on this active site, then it is a competitive. And there will be a situation when the substrate will bind other than the active site, not on the active site. That is a non-competitive inhibitors.
Yes, sir.
Those inhibitors which are binding to the enzyme other than active site. As we know, there is not only the active site on which this enzyme, this substrate can bind. That can also bind here at this point. At this point,
Yes, sir.
if that is binding here, it also changing the shape of this enzyme. Wherever it is going to bind, it will change the shape of the enzyme. right? Yes, if one who which is going to bind on this active site, that is difficult to remove. But here, which is going to bind at the body of this enzyme, so that it is possible to remove it by using any other method. So we will study about that method as well. All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
this is the difference between competitive and non-competitive. And we have another classification, that is reversible and irreversible. We will talk about in our next lecture. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So I think we should conclude here.
Yes, sir.
And then we have one more topic, and tomorrow, hopefully, we'll complete this topic as well. All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, goodbye.
ओके सर जी, अल्लाह हाफिज।
ये मुझे सेंड भी कर दिए भैया।
जी सर जी, मैं करता हूँ।